Have you ever thought about what it actually takes to scale an e-commerce brand long-term with Google Ads? And I'm not talking about a couple of months or maybe a year or two. I'm literally talking about decades. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you the secrets behind scaling long-term with Google Ads while taking you inside an ad account live, which has been running Google Ads since 2008. That's roughly 17 years of consistent Google Ads result. And I'm going to show you how much it has scaled and talk about how you can apply the similar secrets and strategies to scale your brand to this level. Now, the brand I've already made a big case study on previously. We've been working with this brand for quite some time now, roughly since February of 2024. But this brand has been active on Google since basically fourth and third quarter of 2008. As you can see right here on my screen, they actually started spending a little bit of money second quarter, third quarter. They were already starting to see some momentum in the back end. However, they had zero idea of how Google worked. Their results were not there. The tracking was completely off. But flash forward in the recent years, they really started to scale up and up over this time period. And if we kind of look at the conversion value, it has tapered off, but that's only because the conversion value for this brand has started to become much more consistent as to what it should be and where it realistically is. During this time, their entire conversion tracking setup was off, and it was double and even triple tracking during certain times. So there's actually a very, very clear growth in the business for this brand, which is not visible here because their conversion tracking was not properly set up initially, and it was double and triple tracking for a very long period of time. But if we look at the last 265 days up to today, we can see that things have been fairly consistent with the right types of conversion tracking. We did roughly $16 million out of 10x ROAS overall. There are certain peaks and troughs for this brand because this brand is a little bit on the seasonal side where some months it does extremely well and other months it's not going to do as well. But overall, in the last few months, it has been almost at $2 million in total revenue, which is where we have been scaling it. But the first secret as to why this has been active since 2008 and that too successfully is because of their approach towards adaptability. Now, this brand has had to go through tremendous amounts of Google Ads changes, updates, and just changing results in general. And despite all of these things, they have been able to be consistent on Google Ads because they have adapted to every single change that has come about, whether it's going from standard shopping to smart shopping, whether it's going from smart shopping to now performance max. They have always been on top of these changes, and because they are such an authority within their niche, they're often the first brand to get beta access to a lot of these new additions. And because of that, they're able to change whatever they need to in the back end in terms of strategy to implement these new updates before the whole world gets to them. But staying adaptable, ensuring their business changes and they don't just think about the old strategy that used to work and why it's not working now, just constantly changing with the updates has what caused this brand to stay alive for now 17 years. But this is one thing I see so many brands miss out on because they're just not willing to give up on what used to work but no longer works, and they keep trying to just pull that forward over and over again despite the results just tanking and going down consistently. And believe me when I say this, I made this mistake myself. And an example of this was when smart shopping campaigns became performance max, the results from my own e-commerce brand completely dwindled. And because I was so stuck in the moment, because I wanted to really make it work so badly during that time, that I stuck to smart shopping long after Google had just kind of given up on it itself. And I just dragged myself forward, just scraping my feet across the ground without really gaining any momentum. And this really came to bite me later down on the line because I could have made performance max work much, much faster and at a much quicker time period, but I didn't because I just could not give up on what stopped working. So adaptability is the key to scale long-term with Google Ads. But it only works if you combine it with the second secret, which is strong foundations. Now, this brand has hundreds of thousands of SKUs because it's in the automotive industry. And over the years, what they did right with their product feed and their SKUs was they worked on building a very solid foundation, which eventually led them to be able to scale this brand to the next level. In terms of product feed, what you need to understand is things such as your product titles, your images, all the foundational things and efforts you put in Google tracks that and Google understands that you are a quality brand because of them. So if you work on the product feed, the foundations, landing page experience, all those things, the foundation that you build there, it carries throughout the years. And this eventually is what allows you to scale despite the ups and downs of the Google Ads results, is what keeps your brand grounded and without going through any types of policy violations, suspensions unnecessarily. But that's what this brand continued to do throughout the years. Now, when we began working with this brand last year, we still had to go in and revamp the product feed to fit the criteria now, because what used to work for them last year and the years previously no longer worked. So it's almost a constant editing process as well in the back end and the foundations, but it's definitely needed in order to build that solid foundation, which will ultimately take your brand throughout the decades. But this brings me to the third secret, which is having a funnel that goes beyond just Google Ads. Now, initially when this brand started, it was relying heavily on word of mouth and just through organic traffic and organic sales. But flash forward, when they actually started Google Ads, they started to realize the actual power of an ad platform. So instead of just sticking to Google, they actually made the smart move of expanding onto Facebook, TikTok, Taboola, native ads, so on and so forth, going on TV. And this was an entire funnel which eventually played in with the Google Ads success, which allowed us to scale to these levels right over here in the recent time period. But what you want to understand is a funnel that goes beyond Google Ads is a winning funnel for Google Ads too, because everything ties in together, everything works in together. All the traffic you gain from all these other advertising platforms, eventually Google retargets them, Google learns from them, and as a result, cold traffic works much better on the Google Ads side as well. And this, by the way, is something we see for a lot of the brands which we handle under my agency, Your Marketing, which, by the way, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen. But this brings me to the next secret, which you must implement with this third one to ensure you scale consistently, and that is maintaining your service. It's one thing to have enough ad spend to consistently spend throughout the month, and it's a whole different thing to maintain the quality of your products, to maintain the quality of your customer service in the back end, to maintain the quality of your ads as well while you scale. Because if you don't maintain your quality, and if your perceived value of your ads and your product goes down, then the quality score of your ad account also goes down with it, which means you will now be paying a lot more to get that same person on your website, which you were paying less for. Because keep in mind, high perceived value equals scale with Google Ads long term. But there's no better way to maintain service quality throughout the years than to ensure you're improving the quality of your products. You're looking at the reviews to understand what people want from your product, what they don't, where you're lacking, and actually implementing them and improving upon them, which this brand did extremely well here, which is why they've been able to stay in business for so long. But fifth and major secret of all of this is to just give Google what it wants. What does Google want at the end of the day? It wants high ad spend, because that's how Google makes money when you give Google Ads money. It wants competitive bids, because if you don't bid competitively, well, then you're not going to win any auctions, and then Google won't make money. It wants its users, meaning the people that shop with Google, to have a good user experience. If you're not providing quality service to the customers that shop on Google, they're not going to go back on Google to buy on Google's platform again to shop with other brands, and as a result, Google loses money, which it never wants. But it also wants brands and products that make users use the Google platform over and over again to purchase. So Google's all about getting a user who purchased once on their platform from your brand, let's say, to come back, purchase from you again or some other brand in your niche, and keep this cycle ongoing. Because the moment they stop and your brand was the last brand they purchased from, they connect the dots and they think, oh, this brand gave this user a bad service, which is why they never shop with us again. So let's now lower the quality score for this ad account and this brand so that it doesn't win as many auctions for high quality audiences anymore. And that leads you into this kind of tumbling effect, this domino effect, where now it's one going after the other, one bad thing after the other. And pretty soon, before you know it, your CPCs have doubled, your CTRs have gone down in half, and now you're not profitable anymore. So using all of these 5 secrets and making sure you're implementing them the right way is what will scale your brand long term with Google. But again, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads. Go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen.